As I said earlier, I ask the audience to be engaged and leave your questions to the speakers. First of all, I would like to once again greet the participants from the UK.
Evening in Korea. 예, 잘 들리시나요?
Can you hear us? Can you hear us well?
예, 감사합니다.
Thank you. We knew that chem technology was too broad to be covered in just 2 hours, but we were ambitious and we created this session, packing in a lot of speeches. I apologize for not giving you enough time. Now that we proceed with panel discussion, you all have different specialties. Dr. Cho majored in physics, for example, and he gave a lot of mathematical equations befitting his major. Thank you very much. So we have a broad range of specialties. So I'm not sure if we should do this discussion bottom up or top down. I'm undecided still. But anyhow, I think we will begin top down. First of all, we heard about validation facility of Zenzik, and also we heard from Transport for West Midlands, convex data sharing platform, and from KT and Vodafone UK, we heard about 5G products and services. So we have a lot of different topics here that we have to discuss. The overarching theme here is CAM and autonomous mobility. I think that it's comparable to a hot pot boiling on the stove. Right now, nobody actually ate from this boiling pot. Nobody actually saw the benefit, the real benefit, tangible benefit from the technology yet. So we still have some way to go until real commercialization and broad commercialization. And meanwhile, Tesla came along, the new player on the market, and Tesla used the infrastructure developed by researchers all around the world and applied them in the autonomous driving paradigm. There's a website called Leaderboard, which is about technological evaluation, and companies with top technologies in IT are Google, Weibo, GM, and other and also complete car companies and service companies. And actually, Leaderboard evaluated Tesla to be at the bottom of technological development. However, in terms of profitability, Tesla is undoubtedly one of the best. So why is there this difference? And once Tesla has become the new player, the innovator on the market, what should we learn from Tesla so that we can actually provide the values of this hot boiling pot to our consumers as real products with benefits? I think that's what I would like to discuss with all of you today. I think I can ask CEO of SMMT since this is a commercial question.
Well, thank you, and good afternoon, and thanks very much for having me on the panel. It's a very, very interesting question. Any table that determines that Tesla is at the bottom of it in terms of technological advancement will probably cause most people to scratch their heads and be somewhat curious. But I think undoubtedly their development and application of over-the-air updates is a significant step, and is one that we will increasingly see a number of larger manufacturers develop as the cars become more connected and so forth. But there's a couple of other issues I'd probably raise. First of all, the approach of major manufacturers to a lot of this technology, given that it is critical safety technology, means they're probably proceeding with great caution, and that's understandable. What we need to ensure is, as you introduce these technologies, that the public, the consumer, the driver accepts them and uses them anything that undermines the reliability, the reputation of the technology is bound to call into question its adoption and delay that adoption. So I think that is sensible. I would also just say that in terms of profitability, with Tesla, yes, they have been making money, but if you were to take out the credits they get for CO2 credits under CAFE and so forth, their profitability doesn't look so good. But this is the challenges that we all face as in global markets.
예,
Thank you very much for your insight. And also, Mr. Porter, could you provide your opinion on this issue?
포르토가 아니시구나. 예,
Oh, well, I think I gave out the wrong name.
죄송합니다. 예.
I apologize.
예, 나머지 영국 두 분도 제가
So may I ask the other two speakers from UK to share your opinions as well on the question that I asked?
Perhaps I could jump. Thank you again for the privilege of speaking at this event. It's been an excellent event so far. I think what Tesla have shown is a paradigm shift in their thinking. So they've taken what other people have invented and created, and they've shifted the way that we think about it. And I think the future of connected and automated mobility is using some of the good things that exist, but thinking about things differently. What we've tried to do here in the West Midlands is create an environment where we create a synergy. We allow people to bring those different parts and to think differently. And again, I think that's the encouragement I'd have, is really to try and break some of the old ways of thinking and think in a very new way and very creative way to take what's already there.
예, 감사합니다.
Thank you very much. And to Director Ju Sung-moon, I also have a question.
UK에서
Vodafone UK has its own CAM infrastructure and KT has its own CAM infrastructure. Could you perhaps compare those two and share with us the differences, the commonalities, and future potential for collaboration between the two companies? Today, we had the presentation from Vodafone UK, and I noticed that we have similar challenges. We have similar concerns. In developing CAM platform, we're not looking to commercialize it right away, monetize it right away, because it's not going to be easy. At the moment, it's more about fleet management of existing connected cars and also mobility services. So that's what KT is doing. And we are doing a lot of demonstration projects in Korea so that in pilot test beds, we can verify and demonstrate the use cases. By doing so, we can, for example, operate autonomous shuttle bus system, or we can conduct CITS project so that we can identify the use cases that KT can actually monetize. We will continue to make these efforts, and I'm sure that the UK has similar challenges and similar plans. So actually, we do share a lot of things in common. Yes. Last week, at the Korean National Assembly, we had the national audit, and Minister of MSIT came out and spoke during the hearing. Initially, the government wanted 20 Gbps for 5G network speed, but in reality, we only reached 1.5 Gbps. So there is a difference between our ambition and the reality. We may not be able to meet our ambition as quickly as we would hope in Korea. And I'm sure that could that be an obstacle to KT's CAM vision? There are certain regions that are heavily investing in 5G. There are regions that are not. And KT continues to expand 5G coverage nationwide. Immediately, we don't actually have any so we do make regional adaptations for our demonstration projects, and at the moment we don't have any obstacle in terms of demonstrating use cases, but as we expand our regions for test beds, we will need to work harder. Yes, a lot of companies and public institutes are doing research and development, but commercialization of a CAM platform will take some time. Is that what you would say? Yes, at the moment, in terms of infrastructure and all the other aspects, as well as the overall environment, it will take some time. Okay, then in the meantime, do you continue to raise fund for future research and development? Well, in the UK, what is happening with the commercialization and realization of CAM platform? Do you think it will take some time in the future as well? Or do you think it's something in the near future? Can we, because you have a lot of roadmaps that you created for Zenzik, so can we hear from the UK as well?
Yes, thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity to join the conference here virtually today. Yes, I'm Dr. Richard Porter from Zenzik, in the UK, yes, I think it will take some time to commercialise these services. When we look over the next 5 years, what we have is a vital window within which we can use facilities and the work we've done to date to test and develop more capabilities and to understand how we can get to market faster. What we're moving from is a research phase into a much more of an innovation phase, whereby what we need to do is be able to move rapidly in from various environments, from the proving grounds, which have sort of been the backbone of development and delivery to date, through to real world environments to test actual business models, and within that. What we will also need to do is to use simulation and digital capabilities to understand not only how safety and security can be improved within that, but also what we have to do is to be able to use those digital environments to test business models, how we rapidly get to market much faster. And I think where we are at the moment is we're coming up to a critical juncture over the next couple of years, whereby these testing and development centres are going to play a critical role in how we verify and validate the technology going forward, so that we can have safety confidence that we can legislate effectively for the delivery of these technologies. And I think that's a key point for us. I think looking beyond the UK, there's also this critical point about how do we work together internationally to understand how we can validate certain use cases and certain scenarios, so that we can all have confidence and move forward this market globally. That's a really, really important point.
예,
Thank you very much for your thought. Mr. Lane? We heard about the convex system.
Doing in the UK, I think we've got a real focus on a commercial environment. I think, as Richard has said, I think where all the CAB test beds we've set up and the convex platform that I've spoken about are not just set up to do trials. We have done autonomous vehicle trials in the UK very successfully, but we're looking at that next step now. So how do we take those trials into real services and real products? So again, you mentioned 5G. Vodafone are working in the West Midlands with 5G and elsewhere. And again, we are trying to use 5G on those CAB test beds to try and really create a paradigm shift in the way we think about CAM within the UK. So hopefully bringing together our CAB test beds becomes more than just a trial, it becomes a real commercial opportunity.
예, 예.
Yes, thank you for your fruitful remarks, and it was very informative. At the convex system at the Transfer for West Midlands, so I understand, just like the MEMS framework, it is kind of a common platform for the big data for mobility. So in a sense, it could be scalable globally, and I think it has much potential for standardization. So does your organization have such ambition? And if so, is there any kind of effort being made? And if Korea wants to apply the convex system, what kind of requirements do you think we should consider?
So that's exactly what we would like to do with convex. We've started in the UK, but we see it as a global resource. The platform is available now and live now. On my slides is the address. We'd love to see some Korean data in the platform. It says you've got some very interesting, very fascinating projects. You're already collecting good information. We'd love to work with you to put that in the platform. And we'd love to create a common interface, a common standard that people who have connected and automated mobility data can go to one place and share and use and commercialize that information.
예, 좋은 입니다. 저도
Thank you for the informative answer. I personally will also do my best to promote the Convex platform. And I'd also like to ask a question to Mr. Haas. In Korea, there's LiDAR and the radar. They both lowered their prices, and it kind of resulted in a competition between the two. As you all know, Tesla didn't use LiDAR. They announced that they're going to use only the camera and the radar. But as you listen to Mr. Zhou from Carnavicom, we can see that there are arguments that LiDAR is necessary. So, as you study the auto sector from SMMT, I'm sure that the sensor is a critical element, including the camera, LiDAR, and radar. So, how do you project the future of these sensors?
Well, another very good question. And I think the answer to your question lies in your question, and that is that spirit of competition. No one, as I said in my presentation, has all the answers yet. What we need to do is introduce the technology, but it's delivering the outcome. How you get there, whether it's radar, LiDAR, combination, individual, depends on the application, depends on development, depends how quickly you can get to that outcome, but in a commercially affordable manner. Because the real challenge for all the motor manufacturers is to develop these technologies, introduce them, but to do so without a significant rise in the price of the vehicle. Always with safety technology, the consumer doesn't necessarily want to pay extra for safety technology. They view that as a hygiene factor. It's what you should be getting. Now, obviously, there are so many other benefits in terms of the development of some of these technology that allows you to package this technology with other facilities, other services. So I think the competition that is there and different companies taking different approach is inherently very, very healthy and will probably get us to that outcome sooner than if everyone was going down a single approach.
조 박사님
Thank you. Dr. Cho, do you have any comments to contribute?
모든 센서마다
For any sensor, they have their benefits and other disadvantages. So I believe that it's not feasible to replace one by another. For LiDAR, the biggest obstacle would be its pricing. We talked about Tesla, and recently Tesla said that they never said they will not use LiDAR sensors. If LiDAR sensor is price competitive, and price competitiveness means that it is at an appropriate price level to be used for commercialized vehicles. Then if that becomes possible, it will enable more detailed data compared to the radar. So what I want to say is that it is a very necessary and vital sensor, but should be combined with the existing sensors. As you all know, the biggest intention and purpose of hosting this conference is to promote cooperation between the two countries. And in this context, the CAM technology is actually very broad technology. So I believe that it won't be easy to pinpoint or identify a specific area of cooperation. We're listening to speakers from both Korea and UK. And so for the three British speakers, could you please share your views on any possible areas for cooperation in the CAM sector. So, Mr. Lane, could you please share your view?
Thank you. I think I was really interested in KT and their talk about 5G. I think in the UK, we are also trying to push some of those 5G use cases. Very interested to see their platform and what they've developed. And I think we'd like to learn from what they've done and how we might also be able to do some of that here over in the UK. And I would, of course, encourage people to have a look at the Convex platform in terms of data sharing. We'd love Korea and other countries to look at that platform and start to put their CAV data there so we can all learn about the CAV industry together.
Thank you. So you have the specific area of cooperation that we can work toward. It's very encouraging. Next, Mr. Porter, please.
저희 한국과의 협업에 대해
For the bilateral cooperation, where do you see the possibility?
Yes, I think as I mentioned in my presentation, I think there's a real opportunity with early standards to move from sort of the more theoretical understanding of what could be possible and how standards and legislation and could be applied for verification and validation to take some steps to actually measure that and to use our test facilities in the UK and in Korea to conduct experiments where we understand about particular design domains and scenarios to say, do these really work? Do we have a common understanding about what is safe and what is safe enough? And how do we measure that? Because I think that's really important, and I don't really see that happening globally at the moment. I see it happening individually in countries, but in order to unlock this global market, we really have to start understanding, answering these questions in detail, in the real world, and that would be fantastic to work on that with Korea.
예,
Thank you. And last but not least, Mr. Hoss, could you give your wrap-up comment for us, please?
Yeah, as you said, it's the whole purpose of this conference is to explore possibilities for cooperation and collaboration. And this is to be encouraged. What we're trying to do in the UK, and I mentioned it in my presentation about the government framework, trying to make sure that the UK is perceived to be open and welcoming and wants to have this collaboration and this joint testing. Obviously, in terms of driving, there are a lot of similarities between the two countries that need to be exploited. And, the opportunity for the UK to be a test bed in the same way that Korea is testing these facilities needs to be encouraged. And as Richard said, in terms of standards, in terms of just the learning that you can have in different driving environments, certainly outside the city as well as inside the city, will be incredibly helpful in understanding how these technologies perform so that you can deploy them in all countries of the world.
예, 감사합니다.
Thank you very much. Now, you got the proposal for collaboration from Mr. Lane. What's your response? Yes. Earlier, we heard about your big data platform, and I'm sure that there will be great opportunities for us to share our challenges to work towards solutions together. Now, we will conclude the panel discussion, although it's a little ahead of the timetable. It will be dinner time for us on our side, and in Korean time, we will see you at 6:40, and on your side, it will be 9:40 in the morning. We will then begin session 3, about 1 hour from now. Currently, this conference is being streamed live on YouTube. And because of the time inconvenience, there may be people who are not able to watch this in real time. So when we receive consent from each one of you about sharing this on YouTube, then we will share your presentation on YouTube. So we'll go through the process of getting your consent later on. Once again, thank you very much, the participants from the UK as well as the speakers from Korea. Thank you very much. With this, we will conclude session 2.
Thank you.